Are y'all out? Let's make sure. Hold on. Need to check. All right, you're still out. Here we go. What's up, everybody? We've got a new episode of From the Pink Seats podcast coming your way tonight, reacting to Louisville's bowl opponent. No, it's not the Pop-Tart Bowl, sadly. We'll get into all the major moves around the transfer portal, as well as get into some of the burning questions that you guys have. Plus, big-time commitments, musical halftime performances, what the Yankees have been up to, the absolute burning part of the show. We can't wait to get into that tonight. And does Christmas have the best vibes? All of that and more on tonight's episode of From the Pink Seats podcast. Hit the subscribe button. Let's go.
We have to go out and try and get a free agent quarterback on the market. They're going after one of the most expensive quarterbacks on the market. You're going to have to trim the fat off of the, for lack of a better term, payroll somewhere. And looks like Jamari Johnson might have been that guy.
From the Pink Seats podcast, Jacob Lane, Vince Lococo, producer Keith. We are rolling along here in December. We got a little bit of a break from football, no live action, but man, the portal is hopping. We'll get into all of that tonight and much more on From the Pink Seats podcast. If you're listening via audio, we appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe, rate the show, leave us a little review. Let us know what you think. If you're catching the show on YouTube, that's my favorite personal place to find it, despite it's not our baby like the audio, but love the video version. Love getting to see everybody. Check that out on YouTube at the State of Lou. Subscribe. We got a jam-packed show tonight, guys. I mean, it's crazy. I can't keep up between just like work and life and preparing for the holidays. It is very difficult to stay up to date with the transfer portal. But guys, we've got the first, I would call it the first major deflection in the portal from Louisville Football. Louisville gets a commitment pretty early. There's some other things happening. But first, speaking of commitments, we've got to give a major shout out to our guy, Vince Lococo here, getting engaged over the weekend to his longtime girlfriend. So shout out to Vince. How nervous were you, buddy?
I told her I was about as nervous for that as I was a football game, which was knowing you have all the answers to the test and just wanting to go out and take the test.
Right.
And I was pretty nervous. I'm not going to lie. No shame there. I had a great time with friends and family after. That's for sure.
That's great, man.
I mean, I don't think we left the beach until like 12:31, and it started. We started hanging out with everybody at like 5.
Yeah, shut that place down, man. I love that. Yeah. I love that, man. Well, yeah, I remember getting engaged. I had a hard time just like even getting a word out. Like it was just like the breath was completely sucked out of my lungs, and it was like, "You marry me?" Like just getting that out without stuttering was. I mean, looking back, on
it was easy for me because
like,
she was laughing. She laughed because she didn't. Tara Smith did the photos. If you guys follow her on Twitter, I mean, she does awesome photos for the athletic department and everything. She was a no-brainer for me to hit up for photos to get done. Same class as me at Louisville and everything too. So I mean, that was really cool. I mean, it was funny. I spun it as this whole like, Dan, if you listen to this show, you were part of this lie. So I spun this whole thing as like a 502 circle dinner. We got to get photos done because Dan needs stuff for social media. I couldn't make it to like State of Louisville because we don't do dinners and stuff like that. We don't do photography, So I was like, all right, I'm going to spin it as something for Dan. And I text Tara that, and she was like dying laughing. So it was funny. It was a funny day.
You gotta do, man.
I was kind of having fun with it because I was like, I wonder how outlandish I can make this, and her still not have an inkling. And she, to my knowledge, she didn't know anything. Now she could barge in the room right now and tell me different, but yeah.
I'm a scummy friend and wasn't able to make it. Was it like an instant yes and attack you when she saw the rock, or was it like a jaw drop sort of tension and you're just like, well, please?
Terrace had us go like back to back, and whenever we took like a couple pictures, I had to get the damn ring out of my pocket, make sure it was on the right side and all that stuff, turn around, did my thing. And it initially was the classic hands to the face, shock, laugh, more laugh than anything, because that's why I didn't fumble with my words, Jacob, because she was laughing, which made me more comfortable. Right. Which made me more comfortable. I'm like, all right, cool. I look like a goober down here. Get up. I mean, we were in grass, so like my knee was all muddy and stuff. after.
Well, and those ACLs aren't meant to bend down like that.
That's
man.
how you know
Those
I was
things are-
serious, man. I was
That's
down
right.
on the repaired knee.
You told her this is the only time I'm ever getting down on one knee, so we're making this work.
Yeah, Terrace actually had to set up the camera on a tripod and help me up and green screen herself out after.
I love that, man. Well, congrats to you. Looking
Appreciate
forward
it,
to
man.
the wedding eventually, whenever that is. So
Yeah.
good luck in wedding planning. I'm just going to go ahead. You didn't ask, but I want no part in helping. So I'll see you there.
I'm
man.
not doing much. I'm just kind of sitting back.
Yeah, best advice I can give you is like just be there to help, but like get the F out of the way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got it all
She's
figured
already
out.
got like dates. She's already got dates, and I got hit with like 4 or 5 dates before I pulled out of Locust Grove to get back to J-Town.
There you go, man. So you're just a brute now. You got to carry the boxes, get the stuff there, get the
Sounds
stuff.
like a
you
job
gotta
for a
take care
fullback.
of. Bingo, man. I wish for your engagement you would have like told her you wanted to line up and do like an Oklahoma drill, and then as you guys were like getting to meet, you stopped on one knee and then had the ring.
I text in the group message with my best friends. I'm like, hey guys, like I'm doing this on Saturday, like need y'all there, blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, how are you doing it? So there's a Jamaican guy named Marvin that cooks over here at the J-Town Beach Thursday through Sunday. Makes the best jerk chicken, by the way. If you want like authentic Jamaican food, head up there anytime like Thursday to Sunday. But I told them that I was putting it in jerk chicken, and that whenever she bit down on it, like she was going to see it in her mouth, blah, 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 this elaborate story with this jerk chicken. And like they bought it up until Saturday. I was like, y'all legitimately thought I was going to put a ring that I spent a decent chunk of money on in jerk chicken for her to bite down on, potentially ruin the ring and chip a tooth for my engagement. And I was going to do it in the middle of J-Town. I love J-Town, but I'm not that J-Town.
Future mayor of J-Town right here is what I'm hearing, man. Vince Lococo.
I'll do it. I'll party.
I believe it. Well, all right. Awkward transition here, but let's get into talking about the transfer portal. We could start with the not so good news, and that is the news this evening here on Wednesday the 11th that redshirt freshman tight end Jamari Johnson is going to enter the portal. Kind of, I don't want to say like thought that was coming, but with young guys when they have success, like the opportunity when you kind of ball out early to potentially go out in the portal and either get more money and kind of renegotiate your deal on an open market, or attract the likes of the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Miamis of the world. I think that's kind of the goal for most of these guys that go in the portal. Maybe I'm wrong, but for Jamari coming off of pretty bad injury, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of where he comes out on the health side, what kind of, doctor type situation he's looking for. But I don't know. That whole situation is weird. I thought it was a fake tweet for a long time. I'm not going to lie.
I 100% thought it was a fake tweet. And I texted you guys. I was like, well, if this is real, I'm driving my truck off the side of the road as a joke because I didn't think it was real. And then by the time I pull into the house, Keith's like, nope, confirmed, it's real. But I mean, Rutherford tweeting out, that his dad swore up and down that he wasn't going anywhere on the radio, everywhere, Twitter, essentially. And it's like, backtrack on statements. It is what it is at this point. I wish Jamari all the best, but it's just frustrating that, you want guys to stay for multiple years. It's just hard to in today's day and age of college sports, I think.
Enough commas and zeros can make you change your mind real quick. And there's
very true. Look at Dan Key in Lexington. He's a Lexington Homer guy. No, all jokes aside, like he's a Lexington Homer guy. Dad's a legend there. Has every reason in the world to continue staying at Kentucky outside of them winning football games. And, I'm sure his zeros are looking a lot different in the open market than they are in Lexington, and he's probably going to win more games. So it's just kind of.
So, but Jamari, it's an interesting situation because he's also coming off, like Jacob, you mentioned, a pretty severe injury. And while he did look good, and this might come off as sour grapes, he looked good for a freshman, like a redshirt freshman. Like he wasn't, holy shit, set the world on fire, going off for 100 yards a game like Ja'Cory Brooks was, but he was doing pretty damn solid. So if he got a substantial offer coming off an injury, not even knowing, because Vince, you've lived through it. That's tough to come back from injuries like that.
Yeah, mid-season, he wasn't mid-season, but still to do it in season is never ideal.
So to get a substantial offer to set yourself up with some security when maybe he has all the confidence in the world, and I hope he comes back to what he was and climbs to even greater heights, because I'm not going to wish ill on the kid. You don't know that, and I'm sure there's a lingering doubt in his mind, like, oh, what if I'm cooked after this, and this is my last big contract? I totally get him taking the max offer wherever he can go, if that was the case. Also, this wasn't the coaching staff that recruited him, and maybe he just wanted a fresh set of opportunities. Who knows? But it's an interesting situation, and I can also understand on the Louisville side, like, hey, we have to go out and try and get a free agent quarterback on the market. They're going after one of the most expensive quarterbacks on the market. You're going to have to trim the fat off of the, for lack of a better term, payroll somewhere. And looks like Jamari Johnson might have been that guy.
Yeah. And look, I can understand from his point, if you're just talking about scheme and you're talking about football, maybe you do go out and explore other things. And it's not as if, you didn't perform well. I mean, he had several big moments, never consistently put it together, but 13 catches, 158 yards, finished 6th or 7th on the team in receiving, but was never able to become the guy. Obviously had the injury, looked like he might have been, but for him, maybe he says, I don't like the way you use tight ends in this system. Jeff has not found consistent success with anybody. It's not as if Mark Redmond week to week was a big part of game plans. Like, his plays came on 1-2 big plays in a game. He gets 20, 30, 40 yards. Makes a catch on third down. So for Jamari, maybe you say this isn't the system for me. Tight end wise, they're just not using them. I'm not here to block. I don't want to block all day long.
I was going to say he blocked his ass off.
Right, but maybe for him, he's not a blocking guy. He wants to get out there and be
a former quarterback. I would not be surprised, man, if he wants to get out there and run some routes.
Also, he might just want to go to somewhere where he can be the guy. Like, there were no signs that we were going to change our philosophy of rotating tight ends in. We still had Nate Kariski on the roster. We still have a highly touted 4-star tight end from last year's class, and Dylan Messman, who looks like he's put on a lot of good weight last season. He looks like he might be ready to play sooner rather than later. So it very likely could be a 3-man rotation again. And at the tight end position, because of the name, I think a lot of fans are going to think this is a devastating, team-crushing loss, when really, like, tight end's probably the position we could afford to lose a star at, because we have Kariski, because we have Messman. Now it's just about filling the room back up, because easy come, easy go. We brought in, I believe, 4 tight ends last portal, and I believe all of them are gone now. Well, we brought in 4. Tanner Koizal, who ironically enough is now back in the portal again after going back to Ball State. So we brought in 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Now
3.
they're all gone. Yeah, we brought in 3, previously 4. Now they're all gone. So we're right back to square one.
I'm just going to chalk this up as he wants to go closer to home.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's going to end up at
Miami.
Well, that's my favorite. He just wanted to go closer to home, guys.
Yeah. We need is the tight ends coach to come out and say that now for us to put us right back into, 2021. He's going to be closer to home, guys.
Well, I was looking at some of the offers he had when he was committing out of high school, and there was an Alabama offer. Granted, that was Saban, but there was also a DeBoer offer with Washington. The Louisville offer had a Michigan offer under Harbaugh. Sharon Moore was still on staff there. Miami, that was the first year of Cristobal. Like I said, Sharon Moore was on staff there. So Arizona, though, they were an offer. So I assume some of those schools might be in the driver's seat, but who knows, man? Who knows?
Could be interesting. Now that you got Jed Fish at Washington, and he had interest from Washington, as you mentioned.
He had interest in Arizona too.
Right. So maybe that's commonplace for him to end up. Maybe he plays for the future bowl opponent in Washington. I don't know.
I want to know how many guys like Colin Lacey put their name in the portal and actually end up coming back. Like guys that are in the portal and end up coming back to the school.
I've seen it already. I mean, the portal's only been open since Monday, and I've seen at least 3 or 4 guys that have gone in. Whatever the dude's name, Nitro Tuggle or whatever at Georgia. I don't think that's how you say it. I don't know if that's right.
What the fuck? Did you pull that out of your butt?
No. Nitro Tuggle, wide receiver from Georgia.
What?
Yeah, Nitro Tuggle, baby. Yeah. He was in the portal for like 24 hours. So you never like I think one of you all said money talks. All it takes is an extra 0 in that deal to sweeten the pot and to turn right back around and say, all right,
A lot of these kids are making mistakes, man. They need to quit listening to Big Bruh in their shoulder or whoever it is in their shoulder that's saying, hey, you see how they're pocket watching. People are pocket watching for them. And they're saying, oh, you see how much X, Y, and Z is getting because he put his name in the portal? Well, X, Y, and Z doesn't actually have the same situation as you. X, Y, and Z doesn't have a torn ACL, isn't coming off a torn ACL and just a couple 100 yards on the season. X, Y, and Z has a lot more game film, a lot more stats and numbers to back it up. Now, you could land somewhere nice like Jordan Watkins, somebody that didn't really have that crazy of numbers, but landed up at Ole Miss and had a great career at Ole Miss. But that's not always the case. A lot of these guys end up dropping down or end up going to play for former coaches and stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati gets in the mix with Jamari just to, see. And I wouldn't be surprised if he took a visit.
Yeah, be really interesting to see, some of those. I mean, there's several guys that are from, the former Satterfield guys, like a Mason Riger, for example, that might have an interest in going up 71 to Cincinnati. Look, the second time around, a lot of the reason for the most part, like it's different for guys jumping up a level, but you see guys, especially in college basketball, Keith, maybe this isn't as true in college football, but the relationships that you create during the recruiting process come back to pay dividends on the second go round, right? So that's where you see guys like, and this isn't a great example because Jalen Alderman played at Louisville, but Jalen Alderman falling there, going to Miami to play for Coach Nicholson, right? Like
McKenzie and Cooley.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Cooley's a great example, right? So there's all kinds of different players that, for different reasons they go into the portal, but for a lot of them, you see them go closer to home or go play for a coach that they either played for previously, whether it be a position coach or a coordinator or somewhere that, they have some familiarity with from a recruiting standpoint. Speaking of which, transitioning here from loss to gain, Louisville has their first commitment in the transfer portal class very early. This one feels like let's just get one under our belt here. Let's just get the momentum rolling a little bit.
Get a single.
I don't know how to say the first name of this fella. We're gonna call him Big Moose because I don't know. Mahamami, maybe? I don't know, man. I feel way off on that one. I don't think that's it. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not going to attempt.
Right, that's fair. We call him Big Moose, like I said.
Yeah.
So a offensive lineman that came from Purdue. So very much familiar with Jeff Brom. He's played in 40 games in his career. So I would say half of those have been for Jeff Brom. The other half have been for the coach that was just let go at Purdue. And played, quite a bit over the last couple of years. But Keith, give me the breakdown on what you see on Big Moose here.
Well, he is a very large individual. I'll start with that. 6'4", 300 pounds. He's coming in with 1 year of eligibility remaining. Over his college career, he's played in 40 games at Purdue. So that's, if you want in-game experience at the P4 level, big old check there. He's been playing quite a bit. Last season, he played 655 snaps, all at left guard. The year prior, he had 9 starts at left tackle in 2023. Now, let's get to I'm going to try to not poo-poo this as much as possible. So as we all know, according to PFF, a 60 grade is average. In 2024, he recorded an overall offensive grade of 47.4. His pass blocking was a 42.3, and his run blocking was graded at a 52.3. I actually dove into some Purdue tape to look at another prospect that we're going to talk a little bit about later, and he jumped off the screen. Mama said, if you're not going to say anything nice, don't say nothing at all. So jumped off the screen. But you know what? It's depth. We need O-line depth at this point because we haven't been able to bring in or just develop the youth that was on the roster when Brom got here. So it's someone, and I hope that I was pretty harsh on Twitter. I hope he makes me look really, really, really stupid. Just make me look so dumb. I'll wear a hat that says I'm the biggest idiot alive. Please.
Did you happen to look at any of his grades or tape from when he did play for Jeff Brom? Was there any difference in coaching or philosophy there?
Played different position, played left tackle. Wasn't able to dive, didn't do a full-blown deep dive because, we've got probably about 20, 30, 40 kids that are getting linked to the program. I'm trying to take in as much as I can, and you're only as good as your most recent tape. So,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, like you said, competition, you got a big gap at left guard, and Michael Gonzalez doesn't appear that he's going to be back next season based off of senior day and just being an NFL prospect. So that's a spot where, Madden Sanker goes into the portal. He was kind of at some points thought to be, hopefully you were really like preparing him to be the guy to take over for Michael Gonzalez. Obviously that's not going to be happening. They've got some other young guys that are kind of in the hopper that they are developing. And so it'll be interesting to see, but you get a guy in here, and if anything we learned last year, like that's not the last offensive lineman. That is probably just the very beginning. They're probably going to get more than what they need. And this could be a guy that at the end of the season is kind of like, I know Vic Cutler obviously had some injury issues this year, but really, played sparingly and wasn't really a part of much of what they did on the field when he was healthy. Played a little bit, as I mentioned, in some of the blowouts early, but good for them, I guess. Got 20 something scholarships that you're going to fill here in the portal. So, go ahead and get some.
You never know what a kid can do in the offense that he was recruited in. That's what I'm kind of anxious to see. I agree with Keith 100%. You're only as good as your most recent film. That is definitely a statement that's used in football offices around the country. But at the same time, some guys are outside zone blockers. Some guys are, power blockers. So, I don't know. I'm just anxious to see how Richard Owens does with the improvement as an offensive line coach with him. That's somebody that can definitely, that can show coaching right there for sure. So, we'll just see. He's
believing in us. We'll believe in him.
Yes, I love it. They went to Jeff Ruby's too, based off of the pictures on Twitter. And Coach Brom walked out with the to-go bag. So I was curious, is that dinner for his wife? Is that leftovers? Was that dessert to go? Jeff, what do we got in the bag, man? I'm curious.
So I do have one criticism that I'm not going to hold back.
Okay.
Moose, what are those? He was wearing house slippers. Now, I don't know if they were house slippers or if they were some designer boot high fashion that I don't know anything about, but they look like house slippers, man.
Well, that's great. Your age here.
To get to the goodie bag that Coach Brom had on the way out, personally, if I'm Brady, I'm saying if you ever want me to send another DM to someone, you bring me a steak home.
That's fair. That's fair, man. 2 steaks. I better have leftovers for tomorrow.
There better be some lobster mac in there.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, Louisville, like we said, a lot of things going in the portal. We're going to get to that. It's been quite a bit of time with that later on here in the show, but interesting to see kind of where they go very early on. But let's transition here, guys, and let's talk the last bit of football of 2024, literally at the buzzer. December 31st, the last day of the year, we get Louisville football. Literally a month, almost over a month, like a month and 2 days that they'll go without playing a game. It's going to be really interesting to see what the roster looks like at that point. But we now know their opponent after kind of waiting and seeing what was going to happen with SMU and Clemson and Miami and the whole ACC kind of shaking out where it did. But Louisville ends up in an interesting situation in terms of the bowl game. What initial thoughts from Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl? What do we think?
I wanted the pinstripes, and you know that. Mainly at this point, so I could freaking drive over there and break Juan Soto's legs. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not really, but I'm kidding.
The block's hot for Italians, Vin. You might have to lay low for a little bit.
Yeah, that news definitely bothered me a lot over the weekend outside, That put a damper on the engagement. But I'm kidding. The bowl game, though, Jacob, Tony the Tiger Bowl, it's another one of those ones that's just it's going to be a good test for next year. After seeing Tyler officially say that he's not playing, I got a lot more excited for this game. So I can finally see which guy, be it Pierce or Harrison or Deuce. I don't know if Jeff's going to go with multiple guys. I'm sure he's going to announce a starting quarterback like that week or like a couple of days before.
Shocker, starter Travis Egan.
We're
running the wild Egan.
I'm getting an Egan high school jersey if that happens. That would be wild. But yeah, man, it's an interesting spot. I personally was more fired up after Tyler decided to sit out officially just to
and
see
good for
who
him.
was.
Congrats to him.
Yeah, man.
Fantastic career in
Yeah.
your 1 year at Louisville.
He
Played your
gave us
most
everything.
games. Yes.
And it's not, and we can't sit here and say like that. I mean, we could be like, man, yeah, he threw the ball well, but I wish he would have used his legs a little bit more. I mean, the kid ran towards the end and was running for first downs and running to get every yardage he could against the UK and other teams. It's like,
I would have liked him to have held on to the football against Notre Dame, but that's it. Look, if that's the worst complaint I have all year long, I think.
Are you taking that one bad play, or that's what I was about to say? You taking that one bad play?
I get it. Like I get the give and take that comes with a quarterback in the portal, right? So, and really, the thing about Tyler, not to keep going on about somebody that's not playing. Again, shout out to him because I would love to see him as knowing that this is a weak quarterback class in the NFL draft. There's going to be like a couple of big names early. Like there's a really good opportunity for him to end up in a spot where he can be a backup and day one backup on maybe a Super Bowl contending team. Like they're, with his age and his mentality and how he carries himself, like there's going to be contenders like the Chiefs or like, the Ravens, maybe. I mean, just throwing teams out here, the 49ers, guys that need a strong backup quarterback.
Up Herbert again.
Yeah, right. There you go, man. You just never know. And so for Tyler, what's more important? We talked about this a couple weeks ago and you guys kind of pushed back on me when I told you that I thought Tyler should play in this. Senior Bowl is far more important to his draft stock being around that type of player all week long in that type of environment than playing in the freaking Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Like he's going to miss out on a bowl of Frosted Flakes.
That's the same. That's the same phase.
That's more than good. They're great. I fucked it up.
That's the same face people make whenever I say I played in the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, damn, I can't believe I missed out on that.
And also, I mean, like non-playoff bowl games have essentially become like
exhibition.
a sort of two thing. A celebration.
You're discrediting football, please.
No, a celebration of your players who stuck it out with your team, especially like the 4 or 5 year season. Like Michael Gonzalez, I don't care about showing guard depth. Let him play. Let him play every snap because realistically, this might be the last time he puts on the pads. And God forbid, I'm not going to be the one to take it from him. And that's why like a lot of people are like, start Pierce or Deuce, blah, blah, blah. It's like, Harrison Bailey came here for 2 years and busted ass, man. Like, give him a quarter. Like, let him play. It might be the last time he gets the chance to. Because if
he wins the opportunity.
Well,
he has to win the opportunity. He has to get the opportunity. That's my thing is I'm all for Harrison. I'm all for Pierce. I'm all for Deuce. It's whoever had the best month of practice and whoever has, I don't want to just throw him a bone just to throw him a bone. You know what I mean? Like, I still want to win the damn game and beat Washington.
Well, I assume it would be assumed that he had earned that opportunity just because other than Austin P, he's been QB2 all season.
Right. And Pierce came in and just handed the ball off in that game, 2 times, 3 times, and then was right back out.
Yeah, well, we were rotating door quarterback when we only did that against 2 teams this year. One of which it felt significantly more disrespectful than the other, and I loved every second of it.
100%.
Yeah. But no, Washington, it'll be a fun opponent. They're also having a bunch of guys queuing up to either hit the port. I mean, they got ravaged last year when Kalen DeBoer left. Right. And now, like, they've got a couple of players here, but they've got guys who are sitting out trying to get ready for the NFL. They've got guys hitting to the portal. So Washington is one of those fun, like, I feel like it's a similar tier-esque program as to Louisville, like one of those teams that's perpetually in that sort of 15 to 30 range. And if they've stringed together a couple of good years of recruiting, can jump up. I'm curious what they do in the Big Ten now, but it's a unique matchup and I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I believe it'll be our first time playing against them ever. And plus Jed Fish is just a fun coach to watch. So
yeah, no, it's going to be a really interesting matchup. And when you look at Washington, they were really active in the portal last year, and they brought in a guy who they thought was going to be their Tyler Shuck right in Jed Fish's first year. Like they thought, they kind of put all their eggs in Will Rogers coming over from Mississippi State, that he was going to be a gunslinger and be able to carry that offense. And by the end of the year, they're starting Demon Williams or Demon Win. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his first name. It's a bad night for first names around here. It's a bad night to be a first name. Like, it's just, this is not a good start for me. I have a little bit of time off and I come back and we got Tyler, Harrell's everywhere again, man. Like,
man.
But, this is going to be a battle of the future at quarterback for both teams because Washington is going to go with Williams Jr. After letting him start against Oregon. And they believe, based off of what I was reading and kind of digging into from Jed Fish talking about this game a little bit, is that they believe this is their guy. Like, this is the future of their program. So for them, it's going to be really interesting. It sounds like, I haven't seen anything confirming it, but it sounds like Will Rogers is going to play. But I mean, I have no idea how you go into that game being a backup and not just going ahead and saying, you know what, let's cut our losses and move forward and go ahead and get
the seniors that declare for the NFL draft.
Right, exactly, right. We got to stop this. It's confusing the hell out of me. Like, dude, there's no declaring if you're just, like, automatically eligible. Like,
send the thank you. Appreciate it, Card Nation. I'm not talking about any of our guys specifically, but I'm just saying, like, just send the thank you. We know.
Yeah. And, and Will Rogers, he's got to go ahead and get some practice for his resume. Get ready to learn LinkedIn. Get ready to learn per my last email. Like, it's coming, buddy. Like, I get he wants to hang on for dear life, but that's exactly right. So, and you mentioned opt-outs, Keith. Do you know of anyone yet from the Washington side that has opted out? Because, I mean, they've got some just going and doing some very light research on stats and kind of their big names. I mean, between Jonah Coleman, the 1,000-yard rusher, and Denzel Boston, I mean, they've got some pretty big weapons at the skill position, and then some, pretty decent guys defensively who've made plays for them.
I have not done like a full-blown deep dive preview because, again, we've got, another 2-3 weeks until that game. So
20 days.
20 days. So almost 3 weeks.
Side of the Mississippi.
Oh, we know. We know, Vince.
But you know what?
So far, our West Coast record the last couple of years hasn't been great since you
Vince
said that.
Vince versus the West Coast is not good.
Yeah.
Vince has got a couple of 8-10s on the card so far.
Yeah, right.
And look, this game is all more important for you guys. I mean, I guess I technically still could lose, right? Or am I out of the clear?
I'm eliminated. Yeah,
okay.
I'm eliminated.
I'm with the UK game. That one.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So never mind. I was gonna say this game. Yeah, this game.
Get ready to learn 225, buddy.
Oh man, but this game, it does kind of like feel like it might be setting up to be similar to the matchup with USC last year, where Miller Moss steps in at quarterback and obviously has a field day. Like, Williams Jr. could step in Washington's offense after having a month off, knowing he is the guy versus Pierce and Harrison and Deuce Adams splitting reps at practice. Like, he's going to take, I think they said 70% of the snaps in practice over the next month. So this guy is like very confidently kind of stepping into this game as his Lamar Jackson in the Music City Bowl 2015 opportunity. And as much as I hate the way that things went in the bowl game last year, if you don't have Tyler Shuck and you don't have Ashton, sure, you still have your offensive line for the most part, and you have Isaac Brown and Duke Watson, and a lot of the guys are still playing defensively. But it's really quickly for that game to kind of get out of hand and for the other team's offense to kind of do what Miller Moss and USC did last year. I'm hoping that's not the case, but it's kind of have the gut feeling that's where we're heading.
Because, like, I feel like the defense, like, but depending on guys trying to go pro or – I mean, really, we don't even have guys hardly left that are going to be able to hit the portal on the defensive side of the ball. Like, a lot of guys, I hope, stay just to play what will likely be their last college game. But, buddy, we could be bare bones on the defensive side of the ball.
I think it's hilarious how much we clowned Miller Moss for his name and everything, and his quarterbacking ability last year before the bowl game, and here we are with him sitting front row of the basketball game.
I wasn't here then, but
I wasn't looking at you. I was looking at Jacob virtually.
And I hope that, who knows, maybe we end up in a similar situation where maybe the game plan was to like let the young kids try to split time if they earn it, but one of them jumps out and looks absolutely electric. And who knows, if we don't commit to a quarterback by then, maybe we pull a Miller Moss and it's like, oh, maybe we don't need to go get a top of the market. Let's just go get a little depth.
Like, we need to see improvement though between any of those guys.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, all we've seen is them hand the ball off. Congrats,
Yes.
check the box. You can do that. We've seen that. Like, good job. Now let's throw a pass down the field and let's see what you got.
Not just some 5-yard little dumper too. Like I want to see a throw ball.
Keep this. I do not want them to come. One of the worst things that could happen is they come out with an offense that can't move the ball 5 yards, and we look like the New York Giants and freaking Tommy DeVito with the ball only going 3 yards.
Oh, that's Italian American discrimination. I don't like that.
No,
my bad, man. My bad. But shout out to your boy. Shout out to your boy Sean Solano in the hat, man. He's revolutionizing the.
Not just Sean. Keith tweeted me in the middle of the show. We're getting a little visitor in the bill.
Oh yeah,
Tony officially visiting tomorrow.
Oh, look at that! You got to go out and get your pasta.
We got to do a shirt. We got to do a shirt. We got to do a shirt if we get it. We got to do a shirt.
I love that, man. Well, shout out to the Italians, man. There's never a bad time to say shout out.
We built
this
country.
So. That's right. So. And my bad, Tommy DeVito, for the shrapnel that you caught. Daniel Jones, just an average white.
There you go. That makes sense. Yeah.
That's right. Kick the white man while he's down. No, but it's for Daniel Jones. We don't want to be that for the Louisville. We don't want to be that for the Louisville offense, man. Got to move the ball.
Now I really feel attacked.
So you want Pierce to start? We get it.
Yeah, right. It's certainly going to be an interesting battle to see what they do at quarterback. But for both of these teams, again, you're going to be preparing for the future. That's the new bowl. That's the new way of the bowl game. But for Louisville, like defensively, I was just looking at this. Like when you look at the guys that are losing, you would think Ashton and Quincy likely not going to play. Obviously, we know Ben Perry has already gone portaling. We have seen him portal and play in a bowl game though before. Go back 20.
That is true.
23. He has played in the bowl game and Bob Bennon being in the portal. You never know what happens there. But for the most part, though, like I would think Thor Griffith. I mean, that's the one that's kind of different because he got called for targeting and then loses the first half. So maybe not him, not a great example, but like Des Tell, Corey Thornton, Taz Nicholson, Tamarion McDonald, MJ Griffin. There's no reason why these guys aren't going to play. They all need the snaps. They need the film. So you would think that your defense a little bit is going to be kind of the way that it should be. And then, of course, like Antonio Watts and D'Angelo Hutchinson, the guys that Stanquan Clark that are coming back. So you never know what defense might go out there and maybe they just dominate this one and they show flashes of like the young guys ready to emerge and, you get the Blake Ruffins and there you go. Trinity reference for you.
People make plays, brother.
Right, exactly.
Reference in the podcast. We're talking about Italians. What did I do to deserve you guys? Like I've said on this show before, though, people make weird plays in bowl games. I always reference like Devontae Pete in the Music City Bowl and Kane Pass in the Music City Bowl. Two guys that, Kane was a feature on the defense that whole year, but I mean, he didn't, wow you with anything, but to get a touch, I mean, to make plays and that, and what's his name from Colgate as well, the inside linebacker.
Yeah, TJ Hull.
TJ Hull. Like, it's just weird. Like, if somebody said Blake Ruffin was going to have a big game on Saturday, I would not be surprised. Or whenever we played, like, if he had a big game, I would be surprised.
Exactly. It's opportunity. All you need is opportunity.
Now,
who's been paying attention to the playbook the most this year? Be it you on scout team, have you been putting in the extra work that you've needed to understand the playbook as a freshman? Because a lot of you might be redshirting, and now you can play in this game and not burn your red shirt. But have you been playing and paying attention to the playbook while you're on scout? Do you know what to do? That's stuff that I'm just really intrigued to see. This whole bowl game kind of has a whole new dynamic with Tyler not playing. Like I said earlier, it's a
new
fun
team, man. It's a new element that we have no idea what to expect. I
know they'll run the damn ball.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Question on that, because the portal window closes on the 28th, which is before our game. So if we have guys that declare, now I believe the portal window is just to declare and put yourself actually in the transfer portal. You can't play for your old team when you're in the portal, right?
I don't know. Ben Perry did it a couple years ago. I mean, why couldn't you play? I don't know. I have no idea.
Let me rephrase. You can't play for your old team when the portal window closes.
Oh,
right?
That's a good point. Yes, that's a loop. Pretty correct. Yes, that's a good point.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Confusing. Fullback, not smart.
Exactly.
Where's Wall? Yeah, no, I definitely. It's tricky to see what that'll look like, but bowl game gonna be a lot of fun. New wrinkle. Hopefully, we're not Daniel Jones and the New York Giants out there moving the ball -2 yards every play. Hopefully, we can be explosive and still. My point was be explosive and throw the deep ball
run
and play
run games.
Play the offense you should play. Yeah.
Ideally, the ideal situation here is they're likely going to stack the box because of the 2 running backs we have, and there being a younger quarterback or Harrison who has not played the whole year. So they're going to stack the box, cover 1, man up on the outside, and stop the run game, which should open up the pass game, which will be able to see the improvements of whichever quarterback we see out there on the field.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but you mentioned like bowl time and portal time being a lot of fun. And it just got me thinking, you know what else is really just a lot of fun?
What is that, Keith?
Playing with our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Gentlemen, we're talking about bowl games. You know what that means. The college football season, it's nearing the end. As Adele once said, this is the end. I'm not going to sing any more of Skyfall without getting copyright strikes on the channel. But one of the best ways that all of you college football fans can really maximize the few games we have left in this season is by hopping over and making picks with our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the best place to cash in this football season. Every diehard fan loves to make predictions, so why not cook up some of your own for a chance to win real money? Make your entries in just a few taps of picking higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, interceptions, and of course, touchdowns. So join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog with their pick'em game. You can win money by making entries with your favorite players, like Isaac Brown, or possibly next year, maybe Tony Stellato, Mr. Vince Lococo.
Hey. 3 cutlets, 8, over.
Higher. Every dog deserves a second chance. And with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Another fantastic feature on Underdog is Vulture Protection. If you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured by some conniving backup running back, Underdog will rescue your entry. So download the app today and use code PINKSEATS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, that's promo code PINKSEATS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Select higher or lower on your favorite players and cash in on Underdog. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7-HOPE line at 1-878-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Thanks, Underdog Fantasy.
Well done, sir. Ooh. Well done. Take a breath. Get some air back in those lungs. Bet that.
Do any of those lines help me get somebody to beat up Juan Soto?
Higher or lower?
How long can Juan Soto walk in the Bronx? Higher or lower than 57.5 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be miserable for him in right field with those fans. I mean, the Yankees fans are known for their right field roll call and everything. That's where like the rowdiest fans sit. So it's going to be a bad day.
Hey, man. Yeah.
He got paid more than the gross domestic product of many countries.
Yeah, we'll see if that pays for a Garrett Cole fastball to the ribs.
Oof. I love this, man. Threatening violence.
It just bothers me. There's no loyalty anywhere. Outside my engagement. That's the only place there's loyalty.
That's right. That's great. Well, I want to kind of have this conversation about the team. I feel like we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves as we start to kind of look to the bowl game and then look to the portal. Like, I don't feel like, at least for me, and at least as a show, in terms of establishing this as a storyline or just telling this narrative, like, what's the roster going to look like next year? I know there's still 17 days to go into the transfer portal. Right now, Louisville's number, I believe, is up to 16 transfers as of today after the Jamari Johnson transfer. So there's still a lot of time, but we have a general idea of who won't be back next year, at least in notable positions. And so that starts the conversation of what does Louisville need? Like, what is it that the portal, from a recruiting standpoint, that Jeff Brom and staff are going out and identifying as in terms of what they consider to be their most important needs. And I think it's really interesting most years, and maybe that's starting to kind of come into play, but most years you can kind of identify trends of what they think are their needs, right? Based off of players that they start to reach out to. But nowadays, like, you need a little bit of everything. So it's really hard to tell. So it's really about, what's the priority? So I want to open up the question, what is Louisville's biggest priority or biggest need from a roster standpoint? Keith, well, I'll come to you first. What do you think, like, Jeff Brom and company have to prioritize when it comes to building back a competitive football team to go out and attack a schedule that's very winnable next season and can put you in a spot to be next year's Indiana?
Well, I think that probably the biggest area in need for Louisville is going to be
sorry, bro. I'm sorry, Keith. That statement just made me laugh. I never would have thought I heard somebody say, can we be next year's fucking Indiana?
Well, we wanted to be the year before TCU. Like, that's the world we live in now, man.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Sorry, Keith. Go ahead, man.
No, you're fine. Although I will say the schedule, some people might project it as easy. I think it's going to be more of like a 8-9 win expectation season again. But for me, they need to get up, go to the fridge, and get themselves that second big old glass of milk, because they need some secondary very badly. I believe we are down to where we can't even field a 2 deep right now after all of our players who are out of eligibility or players that hit the portal are gone. So it's not even about needing talent, which we need starting caliber players because we're losing a lot. We just need warm bodies to put back there, man. Like, that is by far the most sparse area of the depth chart. So, like, corners and safeties, we got a couple of guys who we looked at who have the potential to potentially play that star position that's getting left open. Like, give us all of them. Like, we got a couple of freshmen coming in who might legitimately see playing time depending on how the portal goes. So,
yeah. On college football, I don't know if y'all know this, but there's a gentleman on Louisville's roster. I think his name is like Avery Hardesty, and he's in the secondary. He's obviously not a real person, but like, at this point, Avery Hardesty is going to play for Louisville next year. They've got to get some bodies, or else it's going to be computer generated player number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And shout out to the walk-ons, but like, you'll be playing walk-ons at corner, and that's not a spot you want to be playing a lot of walk-ons. I'm right there with you, man. But it is interesting to you obviously, what is going to happen with Tayon Holloway? I don't think there's been any announcement in terms of his status on the team. If he's going to be a part of the team, he hasn't entered the portal. Obviously, don't really ever want to go into the portal with legal issues. Probably not a great recipe. Eric Griffin, I believe, or Gilbert at Nebraska is another guy who did that. Terrible idea. It's not a good look for you. But anyways, point being, the secondary, they need bodies. So, Vince, what about you, man? What do you think in terms of position they've got to prioritize?
Well, I mean, the obvious is definitely quarterback for us, with not really knowing. I guess we could get that answer. Yeah, we could get that answer in the bowl game. But for now, I will have to say quarterback, with the loss of Tyler and not really knowing who the guy is going to be next year. Like I said last show, I don't really want it to be Miller, but I can sure as hell convince myself that everything will be fine with Miller Moss. I mean, I'm one of those guys. I'm definitely going to root for him whenever he's on, if and when he's on roster type deal.
I can just totally. I couldn't see you doing this, but it would be hilarious if you just showed up and you were the one fan that was just like, "Boo!" Like the whole.
I told you. Every little thing, like drop back and like, yeah.
No, we just save those for the group chats.
Yeah, right. Seriously. No, I mean, quarterback for sure. I was going to piggyback off Keith a little bit and say secondary. I think there's a lot of, we've proven, Kentrell Clark, Quincy Riley, that you can go snag a guy from a lower level at any kind of spot. I firmly believe that, like, corners, there are a lot of really, really, really good corners around the country. Like, you can find them anywhere at a high school. In my opinion, you can find a lot of really good ones. It just depends on the coaching. A lot of times, how much are they coached in high school? How much are they coached in college, at the college that they're at? And how much are we going to coach them whenever they get here? What all are we going to have to teach them? We're going to have to teach them where their eyes are, or where their eyes go. I mean, are we going to have to teach them new footwork and new hand placement type deals whenever they're in press or whenever they're playing catch? So I'd probably say quarterback, and definitely piggybacking off Keith, the secondary for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they got some options at quarterback. Obviously, they seem to be prioritizing Miller Moss, but I mean, you look out on the market, there are guys that have crystal balls already, like Connor Wigman from Texas A&M to Houston, Thomas.
What's SMU?
Actually, Oh, Preston Stone. That kid.
Preston Stone.
Oh,
right.
I like him more than Miller Moss a little bit. I'm sure somebody can pull stats and compare it, and there's Miller Moss stats that are better than Preston Stone.
Sure. And Preston Stone got benched, and look, blah blah blah. There's
so did Miller though.
Everybody has imperfections, or else they wouldn't be in the transfer portal. There is very few perfect players. Travis Hunter, like Shadur Sanders, he's even flawed as a quarterback, but like Travis Hunter, like it's very few that you get the
Everybody's
best player
in the portal for a reason. You just have to figure out what that reason is.
And can you coach around it? Right.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So I really like, again, bad night for first names. I believe his first name is Rayon. Last name Strader from Miami of Ohio is the guy that Louisville's been on. I really like him a lot. I believe he's first team all MAC last year, if I'm not mistaken, or has been. And then they've been after a freshman corner at, I believe there's one at Purdue that was a really highly rated 4-star, was a 5-star, and then reclassed. And then there's another kid out of Utah. His last name is Calhoun. I think Cameron Calhoun might be his name, but freshman who put up numbers and was playing games. I love the idea of going after guys that were freshmen that played really well. One thing I will say, if you go through and you look at the trend, I told you can look at trends from offers and get an idea. For the most part, they are offering redshirt sophomores and redshirt freshmen. Like they are offering a lot of really young players so far, and I kind of like that. I like building.
Figure out if they can. Yeah.
You've been like
1AA. Yeah. Figure out if they can do schoolwork. Figure out if they can practice. All that good stuff.
Exactly. And this is like people say, oh, Keith hates the transfer portal. No, I just hate getting guys with 1 year eligibility left. Get some guys who you can keep for a couple years. This is what I've wanted all along with how you use the portal, Jeff. Get guys with multiple years of eligibility. That way you don't have to rebuild your depth chart completely like we did last year and like we have to do this year.
I hope we go after D.
I'm not playing that. You're not getting that one, my friend.
Good job. I thought you would just be zoned out. Fucking go. Nah, man.
No. Nobody asked me, but I really like Malik Murphy that transferred from Duke. But I find it very weird that Duke's star quarterback transferred out, and then they had a quarterback in the commitment wing, like waiting less than 24, 48 hours later, man. Just
Manny Diaz and that greasy ass hair.
Well, I think Malik Willis already is committed or has a crystal ball.
Oh, does
Murphy,
he? I have not seen one for him, but like I mentioned, like Devin Dampier, the guy that you like from New Mexico, has got one to Utah. So it's just starting to kind of pick up. It's going to go real. Oh, he did okay. You got guys that are going to go really quickly. I think I saw Ashton Daniels is visiting Stanford, or not Stanford, but Auburn, and then you've got Caden Salter who is going on his tour of like LSU, and I think I saw Notre Dame maybe in there. There's some guys starting to kind of make their rounds, and the quarterback market is going to go pretty quickly. And then depending on how much money those guys get will be, I think, in my opinion, whether or not more quarterbacks decide to hop in there. Like if there's a lot of money and it seems like it's flowing, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more really high level starters get in there. But for Louisville, in terms of position of need, I am going to go to the defensive end and edge rusher. And coming off a season where you had your leading sack, sack getter from a defensive end standpoint, finished with 4.5 sacks, was projected to be a really high-level potential all-ACC player, just really kind of fell flat of that, and by no means was it for a lack of effort. Obviously, was really impactful with pressures and quarterback hurries, but 4.5 sacks. And then from, the development of some of the other guys that were on the roster, we never really saw Miles Jernigan get in and get active from a pass rush standpoint. Tramel Logan had 2 sacks in the first game and didn't have another one until Stanford, right? Like my man just, again, not a lack of effort, was out on the field, but just not good enough, in my opinion, to cut being, a star pass rusher or a primary starter for an ACC team that's trying to compete at that level. So for me, I think that while you do have some really, really good young players, Adonai Green is built to be a star pass rusher, man. Like the guy is just built like a Greek god. Like it's insane to see what he could become. But again, the key word is
please
could, right? And then, one guy that I know, Keith, that you like a lot is Maurice Davis, who is the true freshman this year and redshirted. He is a guy that's going to compete next year to fill in spot. And Micah Carter was a guy that was on the depth chart this year in camp. They do have, some returning guys on the defensive line. It seems like Jared Dawson will be back. And then, there's been some kind of, potential reports that Renee Conga has another year of eligibility left and will also potentially be back.
Des
is done. Yeah,
Des is done.
So
I'll give it my years if that counts.
Wu Spencer?
Well, Spencer's another one. Xavier, almost Travis Porter, going back to the mid-2000s rap.
Hey, ladies.
Yeah, I know if you know you bad. Yeah.
Sadiq
Oh
Clements,
my
another
God.
D lineman who's young that I think
The
is gonna be
boogeyman.
very-
Like I need the boogeyman to come out and start dominating on the defense.
So to your
bad.
point, Jacob, getting an edge rusher, what I want to see them get out of these edge rushers, I'm with you for sure. I think all three of us brought up very good points of need for the team, by the way. So
Yes, it's not as if they're right.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey,
we understood the
well,
assignment.
let's say without Matt here, that's big J journalism for us. I'm kidding, but I want to see like a Devontae Fields, James Hearns type guy whenever we go get this pass rusher, and by that I mean like a third down specialist. I don't care what you do first, second down. I don't even want you in the game or need you in the game for a second down. I want you in there for third down, third and long situations, and you make the 4-man rush or even a 3-man rush if we have to get in that situation where we're dropping 8, feel like it's one extra because of how good you are. That's how good those types of guys were, where they just, I mean, you couldn't one-on-one block them. You just couldn't.
Go back to when healthy in 20, as recent as 23, when Ashton had a companion that was reliable, Mason Riger. Look at the output. Look back to the year before with Yaya and Yasir Abdullah, like 11.5 sacks, 9.5 sacks, or whatever the numbers were. Like they were dominant.
You need a push and a pull, a yin and a yang type deal. You just you need it.
And early on, as Trammell was playing lower level talent and was getting one-on-ones, if you go back to that game against Austin Peay, put a dude in a chokehold and just drove him back into the quarterback. But that didn't happen, right? That didn't happen against the Georgia Techs and the Clemsons, right? So for me, you cannot go into next year with a defense that is going to be completely rebuilt on the secondary that lost so much and not go after one of the standout edge rushers. And while we're gonna absolutely kill ourselves talking about players because they're gonna be committed the next morning before we get episodes up. So it's really hard to like truly have the nuanced conversation of like who do you want and like who is Louisville after, but like just seeing some of the offers that go out. There is an offer today to a kid named Clev Lubin, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Bad night to be a first name. But he is out of Coastal Carolina. And I think that it's that level of explosiveness that Louisville missed this year. They just didn't have like say what you will about Ashton, but they just didn't have a speed, like home run guy who could get to the quarterback on third down.
At no point in the year this year did we say on third down, like, oh yeah, Ashton's gonna eat right here.
Right.
At no point. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, at no point did we sit back and say that. And that's a damn shame for a kid that, we expected to have. He had such high expectations as he did going into this year. So I mean, there were plenty of those points where I sat there and said that whenever Yasir and Yaya were on the field, whenever it was Hearns and Fields, whenever it was all these Elvis Doomerville, people knew where Elvis Doomerville was on third down. They knew.
So part of me thinks that maybe the days of us having like a holy smokes elite pass rush, unless we like luck into one, might be behind us just because those dudes command so much money. And if you're a team like Louisville who doesn't have oil money or tech money or Nike money just constantly flooding into your school, you got to try and moneyball and win within the margins. And like having that elite know he's going to win edge rusher isn't necessarily a luxury that you are required to have if you can play good defense in other ways.
Right.
Like you mentioned, our leading sacker had 4.5 sacks on the season, but we had 20 guys almost end up with a sack this year. Might not have been 20, probably closer to 15, 13.
I think it's something like that. Right. But
still a big number.
It was great, right? Like, I love that. You get a lot of guys in there developing, trying to get more snaps, being more active. But again, like, where was Adniah Green all throughout the year? He had 1.5 sacks or 1 sack this year, right? Where was Maurice Davis? Like, there was no production coming from the top level, and then there was nobody else behind it. So there was really, there was no situation where you're pushing that second pass rusher. It was Trammell Logan, or that was it. Miles Jernigan again barely played. It seems he's gonna, he's got eligibility back. Some of these guys are gonna be back, so hopefully there's, I believe, some opportunity for some of these guys to at least take another step if there's another year of eligibility left. And if not, you got to get these young guys going. And so far, the development for young guys in this system, outside of a few, you haven't really seen it. So it'll be really interesting to see. That's a great train. Whoever's got the train horn back there. Somebody just scored a touchdown. Was that Isaac Brown?
Exactly.
That would
Dwayne Martin.
Dwayne Martin touchdown.
But so that's part of the thing. Like, maybe we don't need to hit the portal for that elite edge rusher. Maybe it's a kid who hasn't gotten an opportunity to get playing time yet. Maybe Adonijah Green puts on 10 pounds this offseason and becomes that monster. Maybe
25. If he looks halfway as good as Mason Ryder did when he came back for his whatever year, whenever Mason blew up was set, I would be very happy.
Yeah, so that's at least what I believe to be the hope, because like you mentioned, we do have a lot of really good edge talent, like 3 almost 4-star talent on the defensive line. Like Micah Carter, he's another guy who also looked really damn good in spring ball, but he was buried on the depth chart by a bunch of portal guys who were 1-year mercenaries in Ashton. You have Leo, like Adonijah Green, who, yes, he didn't put up a ton of sacks. He was also buried because he was behind guys like Kinley and Jernigan. And so we see this youth that hasn't quite gotten the opportunity to play, and they're getting ready to come into year 3 of the program. It's time to shit or get off the pot. And as we've seen, a bunch of guys are getting off the pot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. And it's, a continued game of, developing and finding new players. But the thing is, though, like, to where I'll push back on that a little bit is they had Jernigan, they had Kinley, but those were, by all intents and purposes, I mean this with all due respect, just warm bodies from a defensive standpoint, right? Like, neither of them were making sound like, God, I need to go sit in timeout for a few minutes. It's a non-football player calling another football player a warm body. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean. Ian Rappaport and Mel Kiper does it every year.
Yeah,
that man can't freaking hold 225.
Yeah. Well, my point being is that he didn't get on the field. That's a problem. Like, if those were the guys in front of you and they weren't producing, why weren't you able to outproduce? Like, what is going on in the film rooms? What's going on the practice field? I want to see more of those guys develop. And so it is a kind of an intricate battle, right? You got to go out and you got to get somebody that's good, that you can count on to produce, but also doesn't produce too much to where, they can't get somebody else on the field or provide some opportunities for more snaps.
An interesting name that I saw hit the portal, I saw somebody tweet about it, Kenai Walker.
Yes, from
that's
Oklahoma.
A guy I would not mind having back on roster. He's a 6'2",
love that
200 plus corner. I assume he's like 195, 190, 200 pounds now. It's like, I mean, that could be a dude.
He's not an SEC guy, though. I think he learned that pretty quickly this year because he started the first 4 or 5 games and then was not a starter. And if you look at some of he kind of got the Jarvis Brownlee treatment, I think, on the way out of Oklahoma. Like, it was like, all right, good riddance. He got cooked. Get him out.
Yeah.
But then look at what Jarvis did here, right? So you just never know what you can do. Yeah.
So one other edge rusher that just recently entered the transfer portal, I believe, a week ago, and I haven't heard too much rumbling around him whatsoever. Will Height, I believe. First name is Golden. Will Height out of Purdue, another Purdue player, committed in 2022 when Braun was there. I believe he's graded as a 4-star transfer edge rusher right now, 6'6", 235, 245 from Carmel, private school in the suburbs of Indianapolis, play high-level football there.
Yeah, usually get beat by Trinity, but that's okay. Keep going.
Kid's nice.
You said it. They play high. You said it, Keith, not me. They play high-level football.
Yes, for sure. That's a very nice area of Indianapolis.
Yeah, but he's another kid who, now I haven't done a super deep dive. I don't know if he has any other coaching staff connections, what he's looking at, but like he committed under Brom and his staff in 2022 to Purdue. That, especially with the position of need, leverage that relationship. Get that bad boy on campus.
Let's do it again. Another name for you. First name. Not a good night for him. You know that already. I'm going to call him Demon because that's what I think his name is. I'm fairly certain it's Damone and not Demon, but we're going with Demon anyways. Demon Clowney. The cousin, I believe, is of Jadeveon Clowney. If we can just get a bunch of Clownies, like as edge rushers, man, I'd be here for it. Like, this kid has all the tools, and I think he played at Ole Miss prior and then went to Charlotte and had a really good year this past year. Now is going to be one of those hot commodities on the portal. The reason why you don't go out, in my opinion, and overpay for quarterbacks and tight ends and, some of these positions that we've been talking about is because you need to go out and you need to get an edge rusher. Those are expensive. You need to go out and you need to get, some other players, a corner, a safety. Those are expensive. You got to be able to split that whatever it said that Louisville was at 9 point something million, the report from On3. from a football budget. Like you got to go out and you got to pay the important positions, and edge rusher, in my opinion, is one of them. And they're seeming to get into the mix with, as we mentioned, Clev Lubin from Coastal Carolina. You mentioned the kid from Purdue, and then Vince. I don't know if you heard the conversation. Louisville is after a player whose first name is Demon. I think we can all agree that's pretty damn cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's
yes.
Yeah.
Well, also it's
Will Helt. A Christian, and we will have to have Chris Morgan pray over him every time. So.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. You know what? Great last name for a D end. His last name, the Purdue kid, Helt. Heldt.
Okay.
I thought it was an I. I was looking at small font. These old eyes.
Right.
Did you see that video of Keith out there blocking on Twitter today, Jacob?
I do not chicken wing block, Vince. Grainy black and white video, I'll take. Poor hip bend and bending at the waist, I'll take. I do not chicken wing.
That's great. We're gonna find out. We'll see your I want to see your blocking stance while you're doing combine drills, man. We'll get you back in the old days real quick.
I've got a knee brace for left and right knee, so you're good, buddy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, as we mentioned, there's a lot of position of needs. Louisville pursuing just about everyone in terms of the portal, but some names to know here. Keith, you kind of detailed some of the specifics around them. Darius Thomas, linebacker, Western Kentucky, I believe is going to be on campus this week. Led the team in sacks and fits that star role and is a really interesting kind of, athlete in terms of what he brings to a defense. Nair Jackson, I believe is how you pronounce his first name, offensive lineman from FIU. They've kind of had a mass exodus, with the new coaching staff coming in of their quarterback and their offensive line, their running backs, wide receivers.
How about Marshall? Can we get any of those guys good? I mean, shit.
Hey, Christian Fitzpatrick, could give him a call. He's been I've seen
I'll always take a Fitzpatrick back.
Right. He's had some incredible catches this year for Marshall.
Hell yeah. All the kid needed was an opportunity.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, and then I believe we mentioned Miller Moss, obviously on his visit as we speak, and then Max Clare, I believe. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but tight end from Purdue. Jeff just said at this point, if you're from Purdue, come on down, which makes me mad because I'm like, damn, bro, you couldn't go out and gotten Milton Wright a couple years ago. I know he had been like academically ineligible, but he went to the portal. I'm like, damn, Jeff, he played at Purdue, was from Louisville. Go get the kid. What are we doing? But a lot of activity. And then you mentioned Stellato. So, I mean, it's just I feel like Jeff Brom, Dan Furman are going to be two of the busiest men in Louisville over the next, as we all from the corporate level start to die down and our lives become off work, PTO, these dudes are going to be putting in 70, 80, 90 hours a week. Oh, same here.
But don't stop.
Yeah, I'm gonna lobby if we don't end up landing Miller Moss, another quarterback who's looking at schedule and a visit. I went on my Twitter spiel about this kid already. You all have already tired of me talking about him. Ryan Brown, quarterback out of Purdue, got limited game action, looked great against Illinois. The box score against Oregon isn't going to look great. You actually watch the game. Kid looked pretty damn solid. The only interception he threw in those two games where he got to start was a desperation heave to the end zone on literally the last offensive play of the game against Oregon when they were getting smoked. Big body, kid. Someone said he runs like Tim Tebow. I'm not going to go that far.
Means.
He's a big physical runner.
He's white. That's what they mean.
Well, that's the thing. He's got a little bit of wiggle to him too. He's nice. He can drop his shoulder.
Did y'all hear what RG3 called? What's his name?
Noah Kaniga.
No, Riley Leonard. Because Riley Leonard said RG3 was his favorite player. He
man,
called him Vanilla Griff.
Oh my god! But the kid's got a big arm. Kind of smooth with the release too. Throws a nice touch pass, can drop some balls in the pocket. And he's got 3 years of eligibility. So So if we don't land Miller Moss, this is a fantastic low cost option that has P4 starting experience. And frankly, I'm very high on this kid and think Brom and co could do fantastic things with him. So Ryan Brown, that was a kid I wanted to lobby for.
I'm gonna stop you right there. He played quarterback at Purdue. I've seen enough of quarterbacks that played at Purdue around these parts. I don't need another one. I'm sure he's great. But Jack Plummer scarred me a little bit on Purdue quarterbacks. Bunch of nerds.
But he won 10 games.
Yeah. What's in the ACC?
How many times did I hear that? How many times have I heard that?
Hey, not from this show. Never.
No, I'm very guilty of that. That's always my argument back to people. It's like, I got to be a little bit rational. So portal's happening. And just to quickly kind of like, I'm no Keith here, but around the ACC, there is some action happening. It's going to be really interesting to see how things shake out. The big storyline, I think we've all commented on Twitter at this point about this, but Thomas Castellanos going to Florida State, and everyone said, we'll see you hiring Deion Sanders next offseason because, I mean, it's Mike Norvell. It just seems like we're going to do this again with the average quarterback. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Thomas Castellanos is a lot of fun, like a little tiny Kyler Murray, but not Florida State material.
He don't sling it like Kyler, though.
Bingo.
Now, the only reason I think they might try to make that work is where they bring in Gus Malzahn and the old putt-putt offense. I think Castellanos could get away running that to be like a Band-Aid bridge year quarterback where they're not going to have to rely on him to actually make NFL caliber throws. But
yeah.
I think Castellanos should get the phone number of one Julian Edelman and learn to transition from quarterback to receiver because he's good. He's a damn good ball player. He's just not that good of a quarterback.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with some of the starting quarterback positions around the ACC.
Speaking of starting quarterback, Vince Duke getting Darian Mensa, the
number
genius.
One player in the portal, man.
3 years of eligibility, like just had his freshman year.
Am I supposed to be excited for Duke football?
They're coming off a 9-win season,
right?
Okay. What are we talking about here?
Wait. Vince versus the West Coast. Vince versus Duke. Is it just Vince versus academic schools at this point?
Maybe.
Did Vince get denied from these schools and just have a forever graduate?
Vince knew from the jump that he could not apply to those schools. Let's get that straight.
It's called staying in your lane right there. But ACC, really interesting. How about this, man? Bill Belichick. I don't think I ever imagined a scenario where Jeff Brom could coach against Bill Belichick in college football, maybe in the NFL. I don't know. Jeff Brom, maybe. But, man, Bill Belichick appears to be either close to or is currently in the process of becoming the head coach of North Carolina.
He's the guy.
He's Carolina the guy. Tweeted it. Yeah, they did a whole Family Guy skit and everything with it.
So here's the thought on that. He is going to be the first coach in college football that does not – well, not the first because, there's – a lot of guys that aren't great at like recruiting, like Bobby Petrino is not a good people person, but Bill Belichick ain't recruiting. Bill Belichick is there to coach football. He's not. This is the opposite of the NFL. He ain't roster building here. Like, I mean, he might have a say in what he wants, but he ain't going to. He's not going to be on a plane with a kid, like giving them, the spiel about how great they are and why they need to come to Louisville and roll out the Lamborghinis on the practice field in North Carolina. Like Bill Belichick is.
He's
not
going to do terrible, bro. He's not going to have – nobody's going to want to play for him.
Yeah.
Like, real shit. Like, the only reason people like to play for him in the NFL is because they got paid to. I get we're getting guys – and they want Super Bowls. Right. It's run its course, Bill. Just look how well Saban's doing when he opened his personality up. Whenever he's out in front of people's faces, just follow your buddy Nick. Start a podcast. We'll all listen to it.
You have clearly not watched him on the McAfee show. Clearly,
Saban?
It's awful. No, not Saban. No, Bill Belichick. Like Bill Belichick has no personality. He can't do media. He needs to get back into coaching.
Would you watch a show with him and Nick Saban going over Chalk Talk? I would. I bet that would get a couple thousand views.
Probably, yes. Go ahead, Keith.
So I can't believe I am about to find myself defending Bill Belichick. But you say Bill Belichick can't recruit. Unfortunately,
I didn't say he can't recruit.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to have to disagree with you.
I said he won't recruit, and it stays. It doesn't matter. The narrative is the same regardless.
He only went back to be closer to his girlfriend so she can finish fucking undergrad.
Hey.
Sleepy Bill Belichick's going to be great for my segment next year.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right.
No, that's a hire that was just, hey, if we bring in this guy boosters, give me some damn money. And that seemed like a move just to appease a big money booster. So
they're I mean, obviously I know they were involved with John Summerall, but they're their primary candidates were Steve Wilkes, who is a former NFL head coach, defensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, who is the engineer of possibly the NFL's most boring, like really good offense. I mean, the Steelers are a damn good football team.
They literally entrusted the franchise to Desmond Ridder.
But Arthur Smith just, I mean, the mustache is so poorly executed. It just makes him look grumpy and miserable all the time, which I know maybe he is when he runs a 4 tight end offense. But like, it's just, it's one of those things where like those are your candidates.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Arthur Blank. I don't know which one.
Arthur Blank is the old man, is the owner of the Falcons.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, well, let's transition.
Well, I mean, old. It translates to North Carolina at this point. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, the head coach just got to be a sleepy fellow.
You know what's wild is they're going like old as shit football. Old football coach. Yet their field hockey coach, who's won, I think, back-to-back national championships. I know she's won
for him the year before she got hired.
Right, bro. She's like 24. Like, what are y'all doing?
All right, last bit of the show here, and then we'll get out a little bit of a longer episode. But we asked Twitter for questions.
I've got a few of them queued up for you.
Fantastic, because my phone's about to die. So that works out well. Yeah, so let's dive into this because there was a lot of great questions. We appreciate it. We need more of them, so continue to do that. We appreciate it. Oh, where's the caps on the Miller Moss, man? We going lowercase? Or
copy and paste.
We did not copy and paste to judge people's grammar.
I'm sorry. I'm a formatting guy, man. Remember the logos on your PowerPoint? That's right. Yeah, I'm the Purdue guy of our show. But hey, will Miller Moss be a card from at Irvin_Dickerson? I'm gonna say no. What do you guys say?
My gut's telling me yes, my brain is telling me no. I just think there's a lot of smoke around it right now. And the picture Matt tweeted out, he's smiling. I don't know if it's because he's watching basketball or what. I don't know. I'm just nervous. I don't want him. But I'll take him. I don't know. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's I just got to engage, man. I've got going through a moment of emotions.
There's videos of him throwing an L's up after the game, so who knows? But
yeah,
does it look good? Is it a good L's up?
I mean, it's.
Did he do it like this or did he do it like that?
Yeah, he did the 2 fingers. He got the U in the U of L. So
yeah, okay.
He's brushed up his form, so we'll see. And he didn't do it backwards either. He did it on the correct hand, facing the camera.
You think he did L's down first? He was like, "Oh, sorry, just a habit from the bowl game." Bums. You know why I wanted to come here? To help out your offense.
Honestly, I'd be so much more if he was like bad guy 1950s surfer movie, just like, what a bunch of dweebs. Let me show you how to run an offense.
Yeah, I can ride with that. I can get behind that as well, Keith.
I'd be so much more on board with him. I don't know. I think if it turns into a bidding war for him,
that's right.
That's the one thing.
Agree.
So we'll see. Sorry. I just was scrolling to find the video and Mike Rutherford already bringing the comedic gold. He's throwing up L's and they haven't even taken him to Lights Under Louisville yet. Just wait until he sees Balloon Glow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that Boo at the Zoo gets me every time.
All right, but yeah, I'm in the same camp as you. Like, it seems like all the signs are there for us to close the deal, but I just don't know if we got the pocketbook to do it right now. So
I kind of hope we don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice this show, Vince.
I know.
All right. So next question. Which of the seniors have 5th year / medical red shirts that would allow them to come back if they want? Now, I know we talked about this a little bit throughout the course of the episode. I know, Jacob, you had a beautiful little handy dandy listing in the show notes, and my dumb ass already closed the notes because, smooth brain. But off the top of my head, I know basically all of our starting offensive line, I believe, can come back with the exception of Michael Gonzalez. This is me considering Austin Collins, the starting guard, not Renato Brown. So I believe it's 4 out of the main 6 that got rotation time can come back. So Monroe Mills, Trevante Sylvester, Austin Collins, and Pete Nigra. Those are guys that can come back. Chris Bell can come back. It's starting to look a little iffy on if he's going to or if he's going to try and go pro at this point from every board that I've been reading that I pay way too much to get insider access to. And I'm assuming this is just excluding guys who are trying to go pro. When it comes to like upperclassmen seniors, I mean, on the defensive side, Jared Dawson, Renee Conga, he's at least telling us he has eligibility. At linebacker, we don't have any seniors. Both of those guys are underclassmen. Tayon Holloway, no idea.
TJ Quinn went through senior day. So, I mean, theoretically, he could go into the portal between now and the 28th. Maybe he's looking at opportunities. But it's really interesting there. I think the big ones coming back defensively that don't get talked about enough are the two heat-seeking missiles. We got to get them a fun nickname, Watts and Hutchinson. Those two changed the dynamics of the defense when they went from Devin Neal and Ben Perry to really exclusively playing Watts and Hutchinson. They are just dogs. Like, they are both ready to hit somebody. Now they're a little sloppy sometimes. Yeah, right. Fuck it. Right, yeah. Exactly. I'm gonna
hit somebody. It might not be the ball carrier. Somebody gonna get hit though. I can respect that.
I don't mind if you make a mistake as long as you make it at 100 miles an hour.
That's right. Exactly. They make the defense a lot of fun, and then you get the development of Stanquan Clark. Like that, those three have the potential to. And then like Jared Dawson coming back. Jared Dawson played great football. That's probably his best season he's had so far. And I know the numbers don't bear it out a lot of the times just because of what he does, but. I do think there's a lot of firepower that's returning defensively. And I think the biggest thing, you just kind of highlighted on it, though, is the offensive line. Like that group, when Sylvester went to the left tackle and Monroe swung out right, coming back off of that injury, and they were finally able to replace Mendoza, who just wasn't a good fit and wasn't playing well. I thought they went really well. I mean, they had the 3 games without a sack and then only finished with giving up 1 sack in the final 4 games of the year. I mean, that's impressive, man.
Yeah.
Hot take. I don't think we move Mills back to the left side. Like, let him recover, keep him at right tackle, because we were humming with him on the right-hand side.
Hell yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I like Trevante Sylvester. I also like Trevante Sylvester's dad. His dad is like a lot louder. Like, you follow him on Twitter. That's gonna be like me as a parent. Like, you see this clip? That's my son, damn it. Like every single game, man. I'm like, yes. Love that. Great dad. I love it, man. He's his biggest fan. So shout out to them. Shout out to the staff. I mean, hopefully now it's a game of retention, right? Like you got to go out, you got to retain these guys because you have 17 days left. And all it takes is one school, one agent, one person getting in their ear saying, hey, get in the portal and see how much money you can make. And things snowball. So, all right, what we got here? This one is Wagnesium. Okay. Shout out to Wagnesium, man. Is this
got the year 1776? That is very
great.
Of course,
great
you wouldn't
year,
care
man.
About that year.
You're right, man. Is this completely Jeff's team in 25? Are there still Satterfield players on the roster next year that contribute? So obviously, I just mentioned 3 guys that were Satterfield guys. So there are still a lot of guys on this team, from Stanquan Clark to Hutchinson to Watts to Dawson. Offensive line, they recruited Trevante Sylvester, Austin Collins. So there are still a lot of Satterfield guys. And I'll say, last thing, I'll let you jump in here. I know like Satterfield was not the guy here, but to knock him for player development and recruiting, they had a lot of guys exit. But the number of players that have made an impact under Jeff Brom that were Scott Satterfield recruits speaks for itself. The talent was there, man. I'm just saying.
So, and I was going to say, well, it depends on what your definition of a Satterfield guy is. So if you're calling the class of 23 Satterfield guys, then you've got TJ Capers, Adonijah Green, Woo Spencer, Pierce Clarkson, Micah Carter, Stan Kwan.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Blue Hicks.
Stanquan was older. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Stanquan doesn't fall.
Boogeyman Clements.
The rest of them do, though.
Yeah, and Blue Hicks. Like, those are all Satterfield guys, if you want to call that class of 23. So
no, because he never coached them. But like the rest of them, Hutchinson, Watts, Bell, some of the other receivers that have played, and some of the other spots. So yeah, no, there's still Satterfield players on this roster, and there will be for a couple more, for at least another year or two. What we got here? So is this John Lahr, 7'8"? Man, this is really testing my vision, guys. I
named a bunch of numbers.
That's
John Lahr, 78, 50, 20, 64. There.
Yeah. Go. Vladimir Putin, is this you? But it says, how could Louisville let Mason Riger go into the portal? That's a great question. And obviously Mason didn't play this year. So I think it first starts with health. And Not comparing it to Dennis Evans, that was the basketball player for Louisville by any means, but there are certain injuries that some schools won't clear. I'm not saying that that's what happened in this case, but Mason didn't play this year. That obviously, when you sit out for a long period of time, when you're not the guy, you're not Ashton, you're not Quincy, it's really easy for coaches to, lose sight of what you did and the impact you made. And I think for Mason, having sat out this year, knowing that, his role was kind of inconsistent, and then late in 23, they started playing him in coverage, and it was just not a good look. Like it went really high at the beginning of 23 and then just kind of catered, and then he had the injury issue. So I think for him, it's really probably more about a fresh start than it is about Jeff Brom letting them go. I think for him, I would say that finding a place where he can have one more year of film and play a prominent role, whether that's Cincinnati, whether that is he's going to fit right in at Wisconsin.
They got
Tech. They got white defensive ends at the wazoo.
Ole Miss,
man. Yeah,
Brian Brown's the D coordinator there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's one of those things where how much would he probably play at Ole Miss? I mean, that'd be great if he ended up at an SEC school, and he probably gets a nice paycheck doing that.
That's
right?
what I was kind of thinking too. I mean, Wisconsin, I bet he gets a good paycheck going to Wisconsin. I mean,
yeah, Georgia Tech,
they're throwing money around.
Right. Yeah. You got to talk to your guy down there, man. I mean, they're out here recruiting guys now. I mean, I said it's cool for him to be there. We're happy for him. But now he's starting to cross over into lines.
Look, if Jamari Johnson ends up at Tech, we're gonna have some fucking problems. We are gonna have some problems.
Yeah.
And then,
well, go ahead.
I had one last one. Any chance on Van Buren from Van Der Esch _ and this was
Van Buren. Wasn't that? Was that a president?
Or Michael Van Buren, quarterback, true freshman at Mississippi State last year, looked pretty damn good, actually. However, with the staff changes over there, I believe Jackson Arnold's coming in and he's going to be the incumbent, sort of given the job. So Van Buren hit the portal. I'd love it. Kid's got weapons. Kid's got tools. Kid looked damn good. I don't know if we're going to have the budget to get him. I don't know what his suitor list is going to look like. The kid had a bunch of big-time offers coming out of high school. Pessimistic on Michael Van Buren.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen? A lot of schools this offseason are going to see the success of Cam Ward and Will Howard, and they're going to overpay for quarterbacks, and it is going to go miserably bad. Like, somebody is going to – like, whoever – like Houston, I don't know what their NIL situation looks like.
Kentucky last year?
Yeah, right. That's a great example. Bingo. I don't know how much they paid for that guy, but whatever it was too much.
They just got him a new phone clip and a new pair of Wranglers and some Crocs and said, "Go."
That's what they gave to Brock or to Cutter Boley. That's the deep South Kentucky package right there. That's just the starter pack there for Kentucky recruits. Anything else, Keith? Did we empty out the mailbag there?
Check in. I mean, I had to filter out a lot of the replies anyway, because all of them were asking the same thing. Like, well, what about Miller Moss? Are we going to get a USC package deal? I don't know. I'm not pocket watching.
You don't have industry sources?
I do not.
Okay.
Wait, does Matt McGavick count?
Yes. No.
I've got industry sauces. I've got A1. I got B-Dubs garlic parm. I got Chipotle Tabasco.
But we got to keep that Chick-fil-A on deck, man. All right, last thing here. This is not a audience question, but we're going to get out of here. This is my question. I don't know if you guys know this about the Sun Bowl, but one of the things that's most interesting about this bowl is that they have had a very large list of very notable musicians perform at halftime. They've had Pitbull. I don't know why I'm starting there, but Pitbull, I think, performed last year. Rihanna performed as an 18-year-old back in 2006 at the Sun Bowl. Yes, bro. They have had the Village People. They have had Snoop Dogg, like big-time performances.
If Creed's performing, I'm going.
So I was going to ask you, okay, ideal situation, any era, you can pick one musician to be the halftime performer of the Sun Bowl. Who are you going with?
Oh, I'm going Thanksgiving Creed for sure. That's like 100%. Just take that Sun Bowl.
Currently alive, or can I just pick anyone?
Sure, anyone, man. I mean, alive would be
Queen.
Probably more realistic. Yeah. Okay.
Queen.
I could see that happening back because the Sun Bowl has been around for like 80 years. Like, I could totally see that happen.
Also, that stadium setup is so friggin' cool. It's one of the few, like, one of the most random college stadiums I've actually been to. Shout out to my wife, Primo, before her first deployment. We were out in El Paso for a few days before she got sent off at Fort Bliss. So got to check out the city, went through there. It is a cool little college town. If you're staying by the stadium, Crave Kitchen and Bar, the one over by the college stadium, best breakfast burrito I've ever had in my life. Just fun town. If you're making the trip, El Paso is a fun city. Like, it's a college town, and people don't sort of realize that.
There definitely would be worse bowls to go. Military Bowl, any of that, worse locations.
I got some questions to the ACC, though. It's like, oh, we're finally going to bowls again, and you're shipping us to the farthest away ones possible. What's up with that? SoCal last year, El Paso.
Right, now we're going to El Paso. But can I tell you, do you guys know who are going to be on the call for this game? This is the fun part of this game for me. It's a CBS game. So do you know who the call is? We're getting a legendary broadcast crew here, okay?
Tom Brady?
Brad Nessler will be your play-by-play. Get some sex jokes and some parlay advice. And then Gary Danielson, who has been his companion and has been a CBS mainstay to the SEC for years. Like, this is the best part, is they're playing on CBS, and that's why they have a big performer. Like, this is obviously a big deal for you, like for the UTEP stadium and for the community of El Paso. This is a big deal. Sun Bowl is a giant performance venue in general, but they're going to have a performer, and I'm really curious to see who it is. Fun fact for you guys. I bet you won't remember this name, Vince, but I went to the Orange Bowl in 2006 when Louisville played Wake Forest. The halftime performer of that game was none other than the American Idol winner named Taylor Hicks. So we really got a high bar. We got a really high bar set here. So
American Idol.
We'll see. I don't know. Maybe they break out B Sim, or we get Code Red back out there.
Chris Daughtry was better.
The Orange Bowl didn't have the budget. No, we went with Taylor Hicks instead with his freaking
surprised
gray
they
hair
didn't go with Justin Guarini.
Ruben stuttered down in El. My man would be sweating bullets.
Bro, Ruben's the GOAT. But are you closing it?
Yeah.
Are you about to close it? No, I was going to ask. I had one more thing to ask or to add.
Sure.
So I'm going to rattle off some dates, okay, guys? And I want you guys to figure out the importance of it.
Okay.
1968, 72, 73, 76, 77, 80, 83, 85, 88, 89, 90, 94, 2001, 2002, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 17, 19, 20, 23, and 24. What do you think those dates have? What do you think those years?
I was going to say those were potentially bowl years for Louisville, but then you said 2020 and you all didn't go to a bowl in 2020. So
yeah, man, that would be the 29 times that Trinity's won the state championship in the state of Kentucky.
Should have known.
So congratulations to my little cousins who won the 29th state championship this past weekend.
Hell yeah, man.
So
shout out to the Lococo families.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yo, you had to know. You didn't think I was going to make the whole episode without mentioning the fact that Trinity won the state championship last week.
Right? Honestly, you mentioned Trinity 2 times in the episode prior to that, so I'm surprised it didn't come up.
Fluke year. We went had an easy bracket. Fluke
Here goes this guy. We went engagement to the beach, and then immediately
state title, man.
Somebody turned on the TV. We're like, all right, where's Trinity?
Yeah. And some fights too that night, right? Did you go out and watch fights afterward? What a day for
there were some fights. There were some fights that night.
So you're changing your last name? Is that what I was told? You're gonna be
These vows don't change.
I'm ready for that, man. Emmy Lococo is gonna sound fantastic, man. What a great addition to the Lococo family. Already an all-star family, getting a lot better, man. Love it.
Thank you.
Love that. Yes. All right. Well, enough of us. Almost 2 hours, but a lot of information. By the time the show is over, fuck it. Half of these dudes are going to be playing for schools, and we're going to have been like, damn, we just wasted. But hey, a lot of fun to get back out on the microphones. We'll do it as we can over the next couple of weeks with Christmas coming up. But of course, we'll keep you locked in. We'll have a bowl preview heading into Washington. I'm really excited to see the news that will come out of that. And I imagine we're going to obviously have a lot of movement on the portal side of things over the next couple of days. So we'll get a better idea as to what 2025 looks like for Louisville football, and then put the bow on 2024. So, fellas, it's been great seeing you. Vince, congratulations.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate everyone for tuning in and catching the show weekly. It's been a really fun year. So excited to keep the momentum rolling into the offseason and talking Louisville football. A year-round thing. I told my wife today, Louisville football doesn't sleep year-round. 12
It's
months
the
a year.
best. I love football.
So stay subscribed, stay tuned, turn that little notification icon, leave some comments. Tell us players you want to get in the transfer portal. Are you clamoring for Miller Moss? Do you want someone different?
Kennesaw State. I don't know.
He might be Million Moss by the end of this.
Yeah. Wow. What a great
Maximilian Miller
nickname,
Moss.
man. Million Moss, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. Go Cards.